Well, hello everybody and happy Monday. How are you? My name is Scott Pinyard. I am the head coach here at This Naked Mind and I'm back. I am back. I took a little bit of a hiatus. I used to do these lives every week. I used to do them on Sundays, but things got crazy and changed in my life, and so I had to take a little break. But here I am again. I am back, and you can count on me being here. Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern is when I'm going to go live regularly. I want to be able to answer your questions. I want to be able to engage with you. I like to do these lives in a way where I asked for input, right? And I asked for your questions. So please send them in as we go along and say hello. Say hi to me. I love to hear from you as we go through this whole thing. So I have something really cool that I want to share with you today. It's kind of a secret. It's a secret about emotions. And it's something that once I learned it, it made such a huge difference for me. And I want to share it with you as well. So again, please drop questions, drop comments, say hello as I go through this. Before I get going on what I had to say today, though, I want to invite you to join me. I have a secret. Actually, I have three secrets that I want to tell you about. And I'm going to cover all of them this Thursday, May 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern time. These secrets were three things that stood in my way for a very long time as I was trying to shift my relationship with alcohol. It felt like these things constantly stood in my way. And so I want to invite you as I go through all of them this Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. There's a link in the description that you can use to register for that. We're going to do it on Zoom. As a matter of fact, I am going to bring people on to talk with me about it. It's a really good time. So if you are finding yourself stuck, I ask you, I invite you, I implore you to join me this Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and I will walk you through the whole thing, and I'm going to reveal those three secrets and tell you exactly how you can move beyond them. Okay, so again, hi to those of you who are just joining us. Please say hello to me. Tell me how things are going. I love doing these lives, but I like talking to you guys more. So say hi, tell me what's up with you, and I'm going to dive into what I had to talk about today, which is emotions. So this thing was really huge for me when I first realized this on my journey. And what I'm going to tell you about today is actually kind of like a higher level skill, but it is something that you can practice. It is something that you can learn. And by the way, it does not matter where you are in your journey with alcohol. You are going to be able to engage in this no matter what. So I used to have this picture of emotions, that emotions were something that happened to me. Right? So something happened out in the world, right? And then, now I'm sad, or now I'm angry, or also, now I'm happy, right? And I see this all the time in our programs. You know, we do a lot in helping people with their thinking and helping people, sort of switch and change and grow in their emotions. And I see all the time when people get stuck and they say, oh my gosh, like something happened and it made me feel a certain way. And I get really excited when I hear about this because one of the things, and here's a secret, I'll spill it right at the top. One of the things that I found to be the most enlightening about this entire process, about this whole thing of self-development and growth, is that there is nothing that can make you feel a certain way. You are not stuck. And what's so cool about this, and I'm going to explain it, and at first you're going to be like, wait a minute, hang on, I don't believe you. That's totally fine. Like I said, this is a learned skill. And at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of steps that you can follow to try this out for yourself. So, you know, the sort of things that I hear about when people talk about this stuff are things like, man, you know, I was at a work event and my coworker did this and missed a deadline and now I'm mad, right? Or, you know, I was driving to work and this guy cut me off. Right now I'm super angry. Or my spouse was in a rush this morning and didn't want to talk, and now I feel sad. All of these things are examples, and literally I pulled these out of some of our groups. All of these things are examples of things that we see all the time where people are allowed, or where people are constantly saying like, oh, this happened to me and now I am here, right? This thing happened and now I am here. Now let's break down what's actually happening here, right? What is actually happening? What is the process that takes place? And I'll get super practical at the end, right? So what happens? Something happens out there. We bring it in through our senses, right? That causes a subconscious thought. Those subconscious thoughts cause conscious thoughts. Those conscious thoughts cause emotions, right? That's how it works, right? And you've definitely, you do the exact same thing. Hey, Libby, how are you? Good. I'm glad to know the comments are working. I want to encourage you, and thank you, Libby, for saying hello. Good to see you. I want to encourage others as I'm going through this. Please say hello. Tell me what's up with you. I would love to interact with you, and also ask me questions. I'll make sure and answer them when we get to the end. So we have this idea, right, that the thing happens, now I feel a certain way. And it's actually the way it works, right? That this information comes in, we have these subconscious thoughts, these conscious thoughts, those cause the emotions. And you might not believe me, but you can probably think of a time when maybe you were watching a sad movie, right? Or a scary movie, or maybe a happy movie, right? And you can remember like, oh yeah, I was in a really bad mood and I watched, fill in your favorite funny movie here, Anchorman, and I felt so much better. Well, what is actually happening there, right? Like, I think so often it's so easy to skip over this stuff. What actually is happening is this, right? That information is coming in, it is giving you different thoughts and you are having different emotions, right? You do the exact same thing in everyday life, right? Things happen to you with work or family or neighbors or whatever, right? And you take that information into your head, you have a thought about that information, that thought causes the emotion, right? And that's the key thing, is that there is a thought and then an emotion, thought and then emotion. It happens very fast, right? It happens very quickly and normally very close together. And sometimes we can't distinguish between the two, but it absolutely happens, right? And sometimes, by the way, sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes I get it wrong too, right? Let me give you an example. This just happened to me the other day. Kids are running around outside in the yard. Everyone's laughing and playing and having a good time. You know, I have windows open. I can hear them from outside. And all of a sudden, someone screams. And I don't mean like play scream. I don't mean like, you know, like I'm having a fun time or we're playing a game sort of thing. Like, it was a painful scream. Instantly, I hear this. Instantly, I'm like, someone is hurt. I need to go out there right away, right? And so I'm having all of these emotions about like, oh my God, like someone's hurt. What am I going to do? How am I going to tell their parents? Like, this is all going through my head, right, as I'm walking out back. And guess what I found? The reason someone screamed is because my son turned on the hose and sprayed them with very, very cold water. And by the time I got out there, they were laughing. Right? This is a perfect example of what happens when information comes into us. It goes through our filters, right? Our subconscious thoughts causes us to think thoughts, and then boom, we have an emotion. And so I went from this place of terror and just like super worried to this place of laughing with them. And by the way, also getting sprayed by the hose in seconds, right? The only thing that changed, and this is the key thing to understand, the only thing that changed was my thought about what was happening, right? I want to take a minute and just read some comments and I'll get back to this. So let's see. Kay says, I was an emotional drinker to calm nerves and the anxiety. Since I quit drinking, I don't have to extreme anxiety and nerves and caused me to feel the need to drink. I love it. It's so good to hear. Grace says, my anxiety is so much better now that I am not drinking. Yes. Yes, and actually what I'm talking about today in this thought process that I'm talking about, I'm really kind of narrowing it down to a very specific thing in working with our thoughts, but there's a whole other level, and this is some of the stuff we teach in Living Naked. There's a whole other level of how our physical bodies interact with the meanings that we make. And that, Grace and Kay, that's what you've done by putting away alcohol. So that's really good. Congratulations on that. Let's see. Rebecca, great to see you. I did the November live. I'll be 1 year alcohol free on the 31st, and it all started with a free alcohol experiment in June. Oh my God. That is so awesome to hear. Super congratulations on that, Rebecca. A year is massive. That is so good, and I love hearing these sort of stories. So thank you for writing that in. Super cool. Let's see. Anne Marie says, I am able to get away with drinking. I can function at work. That's what's enabling me. Yeah, Anne Marie. So like, listen, here's the thing. Right? We are able to justify and create opportunity for ourselves left and right. Ask me how I know, right? This is what I did for a long time. Now, it is when you make the decision to like, hey, I'm going to start shifting, that you can start to pull yourself out of that. And by the way, Anne-Marie, that is exactly what you are doing right now by watching this video, by engaging with this stuff, by engaging with us or anywhere else, right? You're slowly making that journey. You're slowly making that trek to where you want to go. So I want to say congratulations to you for being here. I think that's awesome. And the awareness that you have is amazing. So thank you for sharing that. Kay says, since a teenager, I've never been good with controlling emotions, so I numbed it with alcohol, as that's the only way I knew. Now it's refreshing to be able to face emotions in their natural state and overcome them naturally. Stronger outcome. Yes, Kay, stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit later. Sherry says, I'm also able to handle stress better because I'm not tired and hungover. Yes, exactly. Yes. So where was I? What I was talking about here is I was talking about the idea of, oh, right, my son sprayed someone with a hose. I heard a scream. I thought there was pain. I was worried. I was angry. I was upset. And then I got outside and I was laughing within seconds. The only thing that changed there was my thought, right? Input happened, the sound of the scream. My brain immediately had a thought, oh man, she's hurt or in trouble. And boom, emotion right there, right? It was an instantaneous thing. Now, this is a super simple example, but we can actually take it a little bit further. One of my go-to favorite examples, and it's funny because I saw this in one of our groups earlier this week, one of my go-to favorite examples about this is getting cut off in traffic. So imagine that you are in traffic or you're driving somewhere and someone just pulls out in front of you. You know, you have to like slam on your brakes. You're in a hurry, right? It's been a long day at work. You're trying to get home. You got something to do tonight, or maybe you got to cook dinner or take kids to a practice or something like that, right? So you're like hurrying. You're already very focused. You're already kind of stressed. And then this guy just cuts you off in traffic, right? Instantly, what sort of emotions do you have, right? Right? It's going to be something like, what a jerk, right? That's not safe. What's wrong with you, right? And how do you end up feeling, right? As soon as you have these thoughts, the feeling that you have is angry, right? Pissed off. Maybe you're frustrated that you can't get home as quickly as you want. Maybe it's already, kicked out this whole thing of like, man, I'm trying to get home and this guy's pulling out in front of me and no one cares and blah, 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 right? So there's a thought here. It's always a guy. You know, Libby, you've heard me say this multiple times. I need to change that. I'm normally aware of this, but I will change that. So this lady, I'm going to change it now, right? So here you are thinking, man, this lady is so reckless and I just want to get home. That's the thought you had. This lady's reckless. Whoa, that causes emotions, right? I just want to get home. That causes emotion. Now, what if you had different information? Right? What if instead of, man, this lady really cut me off, but what if she, and again, I'll go into this in a second, but like you don't know anything other than this person pulled out in front of you. So the decision you make, the thought you have is that this lady is reckless, but what if she's rushing to the hospital because her husband just had a heart attack? How does that change how you feel? Or what if she just got a call from the school and she heard that her kid fell off the jungle gym and she's trying to get over there as quickly as possible? So you see where I'm going with this, right? Different thoughts are going to cause different emotions. And even if you are in a hurry on your way home, if she had been able to tell you, hey, I am rushing to the hospital because someone I love is in the emergency room, my guess is you would very gladly get out of the way, right? And let her go where she wanted to go. right? All of a sudden, with a different thought, you have a different emotion, right? Instead of being angry, you're much more likely to let this lady go. So what does all of this have to do with quitting drinking? Why am I even talking about this? Well, first, this is some of the stuff that we teach in our Living Naked course, which is for people who have shifted their relationship with alcohol and want to continue growing. But second, and honestly, more importantly to what we're talking about here, right? When you learn how to shift your emotions, working on your relationship with alcohol becomes significantly easier. Right? When we find ourselves in a situation where we don't feel like these things are happening to us, it's much easier to live lives that are so much more enjoyable, right? Your thoughts about your journey with alcohol, right, about what you've been experiencing, have a massive impact on your emotions, right? Remember that example I just gave you about the car? In these two different scenarios, one, yeah, you're going to get pissed off because this lady's being a jerk and cut you off and doesn't care about you. But in the other, man, of course I'll get out of the way. Of course I want you to get where you want to go quickly. The difference there, the only difference there, you got cut off in both situations. The only difference is your thoughts. And so the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think about your journey, the way that you think about the ups and downs, the way that you think about your complete experience, right? And it could be trace. Yeah, it could absolutely be a trigger. What I'm talking about is even more broad than that. The thoughts that you have about yourself are going to have a really big impact on how you feel. And how you feel is going to have a massive impact on your motivation to keep going. So what all of this means is that you have an incredible tool. Your brain is an incredible tool, right? By becoming aware of your thoughts, recognizing when a thought is causing an emotion and shifting it, you can have so much more control over your emotions. And control over your emotions, your control over how you feel, is such a massive part, not only of shifting your relationship with alcohol, but also of living your life in a way that really helps, in a way that really makes sense to you. Right? With drinking, we talk a lot about how stress causes us to drink. But what if you could shift the way you're experiencing stress? Right? Like what if, I'll give you another example, right? Your boss comes to you and your boss says, you know what? I need you to get this thing done by Saturday. And you were planning on having it done by like 3 Saturdays from now. The immediate thought that you have in your mind is like, how am I possibly going to do this? What is going to happen, right? It starts to cause all of this stress. But what if you had a different thought? What if you became aware of that and you said, all right, how? Not from a place of anger or a place of frustration, but instead from a place of curiosity, right? What if you can say, I wonder if there's anyone that could help me, right? These different thoughts are going to be causing different emotions. And this is a constant choice that you have. So a question always comes up when I teach this concept, which is this, right? What about truly bad things, Scott? Like, fine, I cannot get mad at the lady who cut me off in traffic. That's not a thing that I need to do. But what if my daughter actually got hurt, right? What if that screaming you heard is something that bad that actually happens? Or what if someone close to me gets sick or dies, right? Or what if something truly, truly awful happens? And I want to be clear, like, I'm not telling you this to say that you should never feel bad. As a matter of fact, negative emotions are a fantastic part of the human experience. And I say fantastic because with the lows come the highs, right? This is how we experience life. But what I have found all of the time on a regular basis with everyone that I've worked with in all of the different groups all over the world is that we have way more negative emotions than we have to, right? Because not every situation is your daughter actually getting hurt. Not every situation is someone getting sick or dying. Yet when you look at our emotions, so many of us, and particularly those of us who have shifted our relationship with alcohol or who are working on it, are low more often than we are high. And I don't mean that like drunk. I mean like emotional states. So yes, there are appropriate times and circumstances to feel bad, and actually feeling those feelings is a process, right? Like grief. And that's not what I'm here to talk about. We go into depth of this in our programs. But the fact is that for most of us, we are not feeling those sort of emotions all the time. Our day-to-day reactive thoughts about about benign things, right? Like getting caught off in traffic, right? They cause us pain, and we don't have to experience it. Now, again, I told you at the beginning, and I stand by this, right? You're going to be listening to this and you're going to be like, I don't know, dude. I am not so sure about this. But I want to give you a couple of steps so that you can show yourself how much power you actually have to affect the quality of your life, right? So how do we use this practically? Honestly, I have 2 steps. There's only 2 steps to this, but again, it's going to be simple and not easy. Step number 1 is develop awareness, right? Pay attention to your thoughts. When you find yourself in a really negative emotional state, whatever that might be, try to ask yourself the question, like, what am I thinking right now? Right? What thought is happening that is triggering this emotion for me? The more you can do this and the better you can get at sort of mining what's going on in your brain, the more clear it's going to become that you're making assumptions all the time, that you're thinking thoughts that are causing these emotions for you. Now, of course, thinking a thought doesn't necessarily change whatever situation that you're in, but becoming aware is what allows you to move forward and make some shifts and change things. Now, again, this is like a higher level skill set. So I'm giving you guys a bunch of stuff, but the first step is awareness, right? What am I thinking? And there's a few ways that you can do this, right? One way that I always suggest people do in our programs, especially people who are, on this journey with alcohol, is literally setting alarms on their phone, right? Asking themselves, how am I feeling right now? What am I thinking right now? And what you will find as you do this is there's going to be a very tight correlation between the thoughts you are having and the emotions that you are having. So once you develop this awareness of what thoughts are, the good news is you could just ask yourself this question, right? What are the alternatives? Right? What is something else I could think? That's all you need to do, and find one that you believe in, and boom, your emotional state can change, right? It's really simple, but it is not easy. And the thing is, you're going to find some that you can hit, and you're going to knock them out of the park. Like I'm telling you, now that you're aware of this, you're going to spend time maybe on your ride home today or some other time, right? You're going to be driving somewhere, someone cuts you off, and you might get all angry, and then you can ask us, what's another thought I can have? Oh, maybe that person was in a hurry. Maybe that person, something's going on with them. Maybe they need to get where they're trying to go more than I need to get where I'm trying to go. As soon as you start doing this, and again, this is simple but not easy, as soon as you start doing this, you're able to shift your thinking, which shifts your emotions. This is how you can better control emotions, right? And become aware of what you're thinking, choose thoughts that make you feel better. Now, I know, again, there's a lot of you probably listening that are very skeptical to this, and I totally understand. I absolutely would have been myself. But what I want you to do is just take some time to try it, right? Just take a little bit of time to become more aware of your thoughts and how they're making you feel. And then just ask yourself a different question, right? Just shift how you're looking at that thing that is making you mad. When you do this, your emotional experience changes completely. Now, I told you again at the beginning, this was a very big overview, and I want to hear from you, by the way. Like, what do you think of this? Does this make sense to you? Is this something that will resonate? I definitely want to hear about it, but I gave you a very quick overview of a huge topic, right? Something we go into depths about in our programs, but the idea is this: at the end of the day, you have so much more control over your emotions than you think you do. And so shifting and paying attention to your thoughts will have will make a massive difference in your emotional life. So that is all I had for you. I am a little behind on comments. Sorry about this. Let's see, Anne-Marie said, how do they do it? Why can't I? Yeah. So Anne-Marie, this is part of it right here. Just becoming aware of your thinking, becoming aware of like, wow, I'm, really ruminating on something my brother did to me 6 weeks ago. Like, that's not helping, right? And shifting those thoughts. Again, this is simple, but not easy. Libby says, compassion. Yes, exactly. Right? This is the idea of compassion. This is the idea of choosing to have a charitable thought about someone instead of a negative thought. And look, we all do it. And I don't mean to say at all that like once you learn this, like everything's going to be different and it's all, life's going to be unicorn farts and rainbows. Like that's not what's going to happen. Right? What's going to happen here is you're going to go, wow, like I'm thinking a lot of thoughts that are making me feel upset. Right? And then one by one, you just start shifting them. That's all. That's all there is to it. It really can be that simple, again, but not easy. Grace says, alcohol changes my perception in situations. Yeah, 100%. Right? And this is part that I didn't go into, but like when we are actually drinking, alcohol is a depressant. Right? So alcohol is something that will literally lower your mood. We think it's something that makes us feel better. In reality, when you look at the entire cycle of having a drink, it actually makes you feel worse. Right? And when you already feel worse, one thing that can happen is you can have these thoughts that are going to make you feel even worse. So even if you are still drinking, right? Even if you're working through this, even if you're actively drinking, you can see how the very clear connection to the thoughts you're having and the emotions you're experiencing, and just trying to shift those thoughts makes a massive difference. Let's see, KJ says, my mom has cancer. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm getting her through. 4 to 5 years ago, I would have been drinking to suppress the emotions. Now I exercise and stay stronger mentally, can cope better. Oh, I'm really happy to hear that, right? This is one of those things that, shifting our relationship with alcohol really does for us, right? It increases our emotional resiliency. And I'm sure, Kay, that like this is not an easy thing, and you're amazing for doing the work that you're doing in helping your mother out. But in that process, with taking care of yourself, with recognizing, hey, wait a minute, like maybe I need some time for me, right? Maybe I am getting overwhelmed, right? And selecting your thoughts and really being intentional about it, you can make a huge difference. So I'm so happy to hear that you can cope better with this. Because the fact is, right, life's going to throw us curveballs no matter what. And how we think about those things, right, the thoughts that we have are going to dictate how we feel. So thank you for sharing that, Kay. I'm really happy to hear that you feel you can cope better, and I wish the best to your mom. Nikki says, hi, on my second day, feeling great. Oh, that's great. I'm super happy to hear that, Nikki, and been writing my why I drink short list. Yeah, it's really interesting. And this is something that I want to talk about again in the future. And guys, I'm almost through the comments. So if you have any questions or want to say hi, literally ask me about anything. I'll only be on here a few more minutes. So but Nikki, one of the things that I found really interesting about this this process of writing this list and looking at it, and Grace, to your point too, reasons not to drink are a massive list. It's really incredible how we spend so much time and energy kind of fighting with the reasons not to drink, but we don't actually look at the reasons to drink. Right? Because the reality is, and there's a reason, spoiler alert, one of the reasons of the why I drink list is to really help you recognize, wait a minute, there's not so much on here that like is really making us shift, that is really giving us what we want, there aren't a lot of things on here that are insurmountable. And that's the thing, right? Like the way that we think about these things, the literal thoughts we have about these things are what shift the way that we feel. So making those lists is an incredibly powerful exercise. And the more you can do it, by the way, the better off you're going to feel as you go through this process. So thank you for sharing that. And congratulations again on day 2. That's so awesome. Kay says, thank you. She's doing amazing. I'm taking care of myself by not drinking, and it helps her seeing my strength. Yes, absolutely. And that's another thing. And again, I told you I was giving you the 30,000 foot view here of how you can actually control your emotions way more than you think, right? It just comes down to paying attention to what you're thinking. And if that thought isn't helping you feel good, thinking about something else. Now, again, there's a lot of tactics and techniques and ways to do that we teach, but this is the general idea. And this is the good news, is that you're able to have so much more control. But Kay, to your point, and again, everybody, I'm almost done. So if there are any other questions, comments, thoughts, get them in there now, because I'm about to wrap up. But this idea of shifting the way we think, which shifts the way we act, this has massive ripple effects, right? Like well, I can tell you a story about me, right? So for a long time, I was drinking heavily, and I was also in a job that I just didn't like. Actually, it was a series of jobs that, I was grateful to have, but man, at the end of the day, I did not feel great. At the end of the day, I felt like, what am I doing with my life, right? I'm working so much, I'm traveling so much, I'm away from my family. Like, what is happening here? And so, I consequently, and this was before I learned this, I would come home in a really bad mood, right? A really bad mood. And the way that my house is, I have a tendency to like take up a lot of space and kind of set the mood for the house. So when dad comes home in a bad mood, guess what I saw happen, right? I saw the kids fighting more. My wife and I didn't get along as much, right? All of these things, I could see that sort of like transmit throughout the house. And this is another thing that we talk about in our programs, which is like how emotionally we transmit this stuff to those around us. The flip side is also true. And Kay, that's exactly what you're experiencing. By showing up and being strong, by showing up and being caring and compassionate, as opposed to preoccupied either with yourself or what's going on with your mom, you're able to share that strength. You're able to share that goodwill, and it makes a really big difference. This is something that so many of us who have gone through this process find out. Like, we don't realize that we've had so many ups and downs and how much of an impact we actually have on the people around us until we shift our thoughts. And now all of a sudden, wow, home is happier, or work is happier, or my friend group is happier, or whatever it might be. So Kay also just said, I'm into 3 years alcohol free, had a couple of binges, last one 50 days ago. I hated myself for it. And aside from my mom's health, I'm so much more balanced without alcohol. Yes, right. This is what happens, right? And everything I just described, by the way, this idea of becoming aware of your thoughts and really connecting, like, wow, that thought is really causing some bad emotions for me. Is there another way for me to think of it? This makes a huge, huge impact. And being able to do that, you can do it before you quit drinking for sure. And a lot of times I recommend people do it around their alcohol journey, but you can also very much in a much broader way do it after you've quit drinking on other parts of your life. And I like what you said, right? I'm so much more balanced without alcohol. Yes, right? We find that our awareness increases. We find that we don't kind of go down those rabbit holes of emotion as easily. Lonnie says 1.5 months alcohol free now. Yes, that is so awesome. Finding real life problems hard to deal with, can't block it out anymore. So Lonnie, I don't know if you have, if you've seen the whole live, but I did kind of give you guys an overview of how you can kind of control those emotions in a new way, right? And that really is by shifting your thinking. Now, outside of that, and especially, again, 1.5 months is friggin' fantastic. And so congratulations to you on that. But 1.5 months is also, relatively early days. And what that means is that you're still adjusting, right? You're still adjusting to life without alcohol. You're still adjusting to, I don't know. I mean, it could be any number of things, right? Like running into that neighbor who you always drank with, or, being in those same routines that you've been in for a long time when those triggers happen. Now, in your case, right, real life problems are absolutely something that you can deal with, but you also, and I would highly recommend taking a page out of Kay's book and really look at, like, how can I take care of myself? One thing that I find is so underrated for so many people when they go through this process is being present and being what's the word I'm looking for here? Taking the time to take care of ourselves is something that we have to learn how to do. And at 1.5 months alcohol free, that's so vital that you are, first of all, giving yourself every single day a massive amount of credit. And guys, I want to say in the chat, can you tell Lonnie how amazing she is for being a month and a half alcohol free? Like, super congratulations. But constantly reminding yourself of that and constantly taking care of yourself. If you feel tired, go to sleep. If you feel stressed, take a warm bath, right? All of these different things, that is really going to help you not only continue to get add-on days to where you're at, but it's also going to make those other bigger problems feel so much easier to deal with, right? And what I'm saying here about becoming aware of your thinking can have a huge impact on that. So I highly recommend, Lonnie, that you, if you haven't seen the whole video, go back and take a look and try it out for yourself. And again, you're not going to be perfect right away. I mean, it took me a very long time to make progress with this. But I really want you to know that there is an opportunity there, right? There is an opportunity to shift and change and move the way that you're thinking so that you feel better. And you are absolutely able to deal with those real life problems without any, or you're absolutely able to deal with them without alcohol, right? And you're going to learn this as time goes on. But congratulations again on a month and a half. That's so good. Nina says, how does this apply to how we think about potential future future potential social, what is happening to me? How does this apply to how we think about future potential social situations? There we go, third time's the charm. Summer brings new challenges, just over 100 days here with a few social situations yet. Yes, I love this question, right? This is the perfect way that you can kind of catch this and work with it. So, for a lot of people, right, this happened too over the pandemic where people were really stuck at home, and I recognize some places are still stuck, but for the most part, things are opening back up. But there were a lot of people that, like, during lockdown quit drinking, and then when everything opened again, there was like uh-oh, right? How am I going to deal with this? And I also see this every year at the same time. Right? Every single year when it's spring heading into summer and people are thinking about vacations and the lake house and all of this stuff, right? As we're thinking about these things, we really begin to question ourselves, right? We really begin to say, like, am I actually going to be strong enough to go to that barbecue? Am I actually going to make it through a weekend at the lake house? And one moment. Sorry about that. That's a valid question. So here's how this applies, Nina, and I want to like really kind of walk you through it here. When you start thinking about that future potential social situation that is causing you, and it starts to cause you emotions, take a moment and step back and say, wow, what is this thought? Right? And so very often these thoughts end up being something around like, man, I'm really worried about this party that I'm going to. Or, geez, I just don't think I'm going to fit in at fill in the blank. Or, man, I've never taken a vacation without alcohol and I really think I'm going to be tempted. These sort of thoughts are going to be causing emotions in you, and you might have even felt them as I said it, right? You're going to be, instead of anticipating something, you're going to be dreading something. Instead of looking forward to or being excited about that vacation, you're going to be looking for, man, how do I shift? You're going to be looking about like, man, what are the excuses? Or a lot of people, and I've seen this over and over, I've seen people just decide not to do things that they would otherwise want to do because of these thoughts, right? They're thinking, man, I have no idea how I'm going to get through this barbecue. It's going to be too tempting. I'm going to be on overload, right? These sort of thoughts. And they actually talk themselves out of doing things that they could otherwise do. So to answer your question, Nina, right? How does this apply? It is all about really following these two steps, right? Awareness, what is the thought? And, asking yourself, is there something else I can think? Because the reality is we make up so much stuff, right? Like truly, if you were to, there was an exercise I did one time where for every thought that came up, the teacher in the class said, like, tell us what, always ask yourself, where's the evidence for that? And so, Nina, when you think about this future potential social situation and you're thinking, man, this is going to be really hard and I don't think I'm going to make it, ask yourself, where's the evidence? Well, it hasn't happened yet, right? Like we're just making up these thoughts, and this is what brains do. So when you are facing these potential future potential social situations, I'm going to say it over and over till I get it right. When you're facing these, really look at the thoughts that you're having. I don't think I'm going to make it. This is going to be really hard, whatever, right? And then see if you can find other thoughts that feel true, right? I'm learning to do this. It's interesting. I've never done this without alcohol. I have no idea how it's going to be, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of them that you can use, and you will actually feel that emotional shift in the moment. We have a tactic for this that we teach called the ACT technique. Maybe I can do that on a future live. But that's exactly how it works, is you pay attention to, wow, that is the thought that I'm having. It's making me feel bad. Is that original thought true? Is there a different thought I could think? And it really is that simple. So I hope that makes sense. Hey, everybody, I want to say again, if you have any questions or comments, please drop them in here. I've been on here for 40 minutes now. This is awesome. I am going to be doing this every week at 4 p.m. So you'll always Eastern time on Mondays. So you'll always be able to catch me here, and we'll always be able to have a chance to ask questions. So I'm going to keep, Nina, I hope that was helpful. I'll keep reading some more comments here. Grace says, my kids say I'm much nicer when I do not drink. Yeah, Grace. Yeah. Because like we can catch those thoughts that are making us feel bad, and we can put ourselves in a completely different move by doing that. Awesome. Got some love for Lonnie in the chat. So good, so good, so good. Let's see, Kay says, I've just gotten to the habit of ordering alcohol-free drinks that look like gin and tonics, and no one has to know. Yeah, that's a whole other one. Excuse me. And I can absolutely do a whole new, another live on that. But this idea of like, man, I need to have a drink in my hand for people to be feeling that way, or for people to not ask me why I'm not drinking. Gosh, just alcohol-free drinks and going in somewhere and having that handy makes such a huge difference. Let's see, Terry says, my problem is when I'm by myself, not with people. Ironically, I have control around people. And yeah, Terry, that makes perfect sense. I've talked to a lot of people who are that way, right? And for a lot of us, that accountability can make a big difference. Yet we find that like when we're at home, alone, or on the road, like for me, a really big one, I used to travel a lot for work, so being in a hotel room alone, it's like the wheels come off. That's okay, right? It's absolutely normal to be that way, to be experiencing that. And the main thing is, now that you know it, you can start working to unravel that, and that's a big thing that we do in a lot of our programs, is really kind of getting to the root of like, what are those thoughts? And you can use the steps that I talked about today. Become aware of your thoughts and ask yourself, is it true, right? Is there another thought I can think that'll make me feel better? Now, that's not going to solve all of your problems, but it's going to move you forward, right? And it's going to show you that you really can change, right? You really can shift the way you feel. You have so much more control. But thank you for sharing that, Terry. And boy, I totally know what you're talking about. All right. I think I am. Yes, you guys are talking to yourself. Awesome. Well, hey, it's really good to be back. I took a couple of months off. I'm really happy to be back here doing this. And again, don't forget, Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you want to be here, you can always come in here and submit a question. And I would love to know from you guys, what do you want to hear me talk about? Put it in the comments to this video. I'm keeping a list. I've got a long list, but I'm happy to jump some to the top. Based on suggestions for you guys. So if you want to hear me talk about anything about the alcohol journey, if you have a question for me, it can have to do with alcohol or not. Hey, Jeannie, how are you? Right? Whatever it is, I want to hear from you. So please put it in the comments here, and I'll definitely get it into consideration for next week. And before I wrap up, I want to invite you to join me this Thursday, May 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I am going to be talking about the 3 secrets, the 3 things that stopped me. And I literally mean stopped me. It was these 3 things that held me back from changing my relationship with alcohol. I'm going to talk about what those were. We're going to actually talk about them together. I do this on Zoom, and I like to bring people on so that we can talk about them together. But I would love for you to join me. It is 100% free this Thursday, May 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So check out the link. It's in the description of this video. Thank you all for hanging out with me today, and I will see you very soon. Take care.